So, have you ever made a decision and immediately thought, ugh, future me is going to hate me for this? Well, you're not alone. And that's the big question Dr. Benjamin Hardy gets into in his book, Be Your Future Self Now. The core idea is a real game changer. What if your life isn't just a reaction to your past, but is actually being pulled forward by your future? I mean, come on, Jerry Seinfeld just nailed it here. This is so relatable, right? We have all been night guy. We make that choice in the moment, staying up late, eating the junk food, putting something off, and we just leave the mess for morning guy to clean up. It is the perfect and honestly hilarious way to understand this constant battle we have with ourselves. And look, this night guy problem goes way deeper than just missing out on some sleep. It's really a whole pattern of thinking, right? It's about choosing what feels good right now over what's actually good for us in the long run. It's kind of this quiet, sneaky self sabotage where today's comfort literally costs us tomorrow's dreams. This image, yeah, that's basically us on a daily basis. Most of our behavior is just reacting. We're either grabbing for that quick, easy reward, or we're just frantically putting out fires. Our brains are literally wired to solve today's problems, not to invest in some person we're not even going to be for another 5 or 10 years. But Hardy's whole point is that this is a trap, and it's a trap we can learn to get out of. So, what's really holding us back? Well, Hardy points to a few key threats. The biggest one, by far, is feeling totally disconnected from that person you're going to become. That's what leads to all those short-sighted night guy decisions. We also get completely stuck in these urgent but ultimately meaningless daily battles. And here's the kicker. Sometimes our own past success is what trips us up. We get comfortable, we get complacent, and we just stop growing. Okay, so how do we fix this? This is where the book's big idea just flips everything we think we know on its head. It argues that your future isn't just a straight line from your past. No. Instead, having a super clear, exciting vision of your future self, it actively pulls you forward. It literally starts to shape who you are and the decisions you make today. Let's make this personal for a second. Seriously, think about it. Who were you a decade ago? Your goals, your personality, what you did every day? I bet you've changed a lot, right? Okay, now think about the next 10 years. Do you really expect to change just as much? Most of us don't. And that leads to this really fascinating glitch in our thinking. Psychologists have a name for this. It's called the end of history illusion. We look back and see our past selves as this work in progress, but we see our current self as like the final finished version. We do this because it's way easier for our brains to remember changes that already happened than to truly imagine massive changes in the future. But that's a trap. This illusion completely blinds us to our own potential for huge transformation. You have to get this. Your future self isn't just an older version of you. They are a totally different person. So how in the world do you break that illusion? Well, this incredible quote from psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl gives us a really powerful way to think about it. It's all about changing your perspective. Just imagine you're your future self, who's time traveled back to this exact day. What advice would they give you? What would they desperately want you to do? Acting from that point of view, that is the secret to making real intentional change. Now, this isn't all just some big abstract theory. The book actually gives a super practical 7-step framework to start living as that future self right now. We're going to dive into 3 of the most important ones. First up, eliminate lesser goals. There's a great line in the book, we are kept from our goals not by obstacles, but by a clear path to a lesser goal. Your future self is laser focused on one big thing. You have to get rid of the distractions. Second, ask for exactly what you want. Be direct, no apologies. Your future self knows their value, and they're not afraid to ask for it. And third, and this one is so important, aggressively complete imperfect work. Okay, let's just park on that last one for a second because it's a huge deal. Perfectionism is a trap. That's all it is. It's an excuse your current self uses to avoid putting something out there and maybe getting judged. Real progress, real growth, it comes from shipping. It comes from getting your work out into the world. Your future self is way more skilled than you are now, but they can only improve on the stuff you actually finished today. Confidence doesn't come from planning to do something. It comes from getting it done. So as you can imagine, a book with ideas this big has kicked up a lot of conversation. The reaction has been really positive for the most part, but it's also gotten some fair criticism. So let's take a look at what actual readers are saying. Just looking at the raw numbers here from Goodreads, I mean, we're talking about almost 3,000 ratings. And wow, If you add it up, a massive 82% of readers gave this book either 4 or 5 stars. That's huge. It's pretty clear this book has really struck a chord with a lot of people. And for a lot of those readers, this book was a genuine game changer. I mean, just read this review from Frank Seifert. It really says it all. You see this over and over again. People saying they feel this new sense of purpose and direction, even after feeling stuck for years. But on the flip side, not everyone was sold. This review from John W. points to one of the most common complaints, that the book feels like a big advertisement for a really expensive course, and that maybe the best, most practical stuff is kept behind that paywall. So if we were to sum up the main criticisms, here's what you hear a lot. Some readers felt the main ideas got repeated a bit too much. Others thought it relied too heavily on the author's personal stories. And then there's that point about the practical steps being part of a paid course. Finally, a number of people felt the book's definition of success was a little narrow, focusing a lot on money and career instead of a more balanced life. So let's bring this all right back to where we started. This isn't just a cool idea to think about. It's a real, practical guide for the very next choice you make. So I'll leave you with this. What's the one thing you can do right now as Night Guy that Morning Guy is going to wake up and thank you for tomorrow?